All right, as you can see, I finished all my contour lines here, really lightly sketched in. And then the next step is, let me just transfer over to one that I started just a little bit to show you. You're gonna go square by square, and if you are right-handed like myself, you're gonna start in the upper left-hand corner and move across here. If you're a left-handed person, start in the upper right-hand corner and move this way. The reason is so that your hand doesn't smear as you're going. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I've noticed this after teaching this project for a while, kids always want to start with shading the eye. Trust me and go square by square, and you're going to have a lot more success. So just trust me, please, on that. Okay? Don't bounce around. Go square by square. So as we look at, move that up, the hair here, and that's why I wanted to do part of this hair to show you, and then I'll continue and show here. When you're doing hair, you want to make sure that you have a sharp pencil. It's really important when you're drawing hair to have that sharp pencil to show the texture of the hair and the direction that the hair is going. If your pencil isn't sharp, you won't get that fine kind of line that you're looking for in hair. Now, as you look at his hair, he's got some highlights and the highlights, remember, are lighter areas of the hair that show the direction also. You can see kind of this highlights all the way around here on his hair. Well, I want to show that. And we did that earlier in our Adventures in Value when we showed that lines that are closer together have a darker value, lines that are further apart have a lighter value. That's kind of the same thing that we're showing here. So as I look at, so I'm on 1, 2, 3, I'm on the 4 square. 1, 2, 3, 4 square here. There's some highlights here, and I'm following the direction that the hair goes. And over here, it's really dark. And I'm going to erase this line here because I don't need that anymore. And it's important to erase your lines as you go. Don't leave the lines for me. So here is darker, so my lines are closer together. Then we start to see as I move over this direction, my lines get further apart because I'm going to show some of that highlights of the hair. And I'm going to go right over the line that was over here, kind of to transition. And then the skin tone here. So I'm going to take my blending stick and I'm going to blend in that skin tone. All right, then I can move on to my next square. So my next square, I'm going to erase those lines. Let's look at the skin tone. It's a little bit darker over on this side. So I'm going to press a little bit harder with my blending stick, and then not so much as I move this direction. Okay, then I can look at the hair, and I'm looking at, again, the direction that hair goes. We start to see those highlights where it's lighter in the middle. Okay, and I can't leave it white like that or it doesn't blend. So now I'm not gonna press as hard, make my lines a little bit further apart. If you have a person that has blonde hair, you wanna look for what are called the lowlights, the darker parts of their hair, and start sketching those out, kind of like what I was doing here. I did the dark areas and then I did the lighter areas. Now I'm gonna take my blending stick, and I can't do this too much or I lose the texture, but I'm gonna go in the direction that the hair goes just a little bit to fill in and give some color because it's not white like the paper. But I can't do this too much or I'll smear the texture. So just a little bit, a hint of that color. All right, and I'm gonna darken this up just a little bit so that highlight shows a little bit more. And then I can move on. There we go, to the next one. So go ahead and erase. And it's really dark over here. All right, then the negative space, the area around this, I'm gonna use my blending stick and start to give that some color. And remember, if it's not white like the paper, and you can compare it, like I hardly have anything that's gonna be white like the paper. Most of the things are gonna have some type of shading on it. So once I am done with row 1, then I'm gonna move down and go to the next row. So as I look at this next row, I'm going to erase my grid lines. And then it's really important that you connect these rows. So I'm actually gonna go back up into this first one a little bit and work on that hair. And transition. Okay, take my blending stick. Not too much so I lose the texture, but I'm just kind of giving some color. And then give the skin some color here. It's a little bit darker over here. And see what I'm doing over the skin that's here? So I'm transitioning so I don't see where those lines were. Okay, then I can move on to the next one here. So I'm going to erase here. And I'm going to lightly use my blending stick. Remember, I said you can see the furrows in their brow, kind of when you raise your eyebrows, you have those furrows. I'm going to sketch those in just a little bit darker, and then I'll use my blending stick to smooth those out. And then I would move on to the next square and erase. So as you're working on this, like I said, I want you to go square by square. And so that as you move down, you'll see the picture all starting to come together. So eventually, like here you can see, I went square by square. And now I'm kind of on this area here, and I'm going to move across. And see how it all starts to come together? I went from here and kept going square by square until I'm there, and eventually I'll finish it up. So that's the next step, to finish up your shading.